Episode 3 of Heartland Season 19 opens with an unsettling sense of calm, the kind that makes you hold your breath without realizing it. The familiar piece of Heartland Ranch feels fragile, like it could shatter at any moment. Amy's been trying to move forward, to find balance between being a mother, a trainer, and a woman learning how to live again. But in this episode, that fragile balance begins to tilt, and what starts as a normal day quickly turns into something that forces everyone to confront what they've been avoiding. Amy's connection with Nathan, the new face who has slowly stepped into her life, seems to deepen. He's kind, patient, and tries to understand her world, but something about their timing feels off. Amy wants to believe she's ready for happiness again, but the truth is, her heart still speaks a language written in grief. Her moments of silence say what words cannot. That part of her is still standing beside Ty, even if he's long gone. And it's in that silence where the real tension begins to grow. Lindy, sharp and sensitive beyond her years, senses the shift immediately. Children always do. To her, the small changes are loud. Amy's longer glances at her phone, the distracted smiles, the sudden quiet when Nathan's name comes up. At first, Lindy brushes it off, thinking it's just work or grown-up things she doesn't need to worry about. But when she overhears that Nathan has been invited to the upcoming family dinner, something inside her twists. It's not anger, it's fear. Fear that her mother's heart might be moving on from the only family she's ever known. Meanwhile, the rest of the family feels the undercurrent too, though no one says it out loud. Jack notices the distance between Amy and Lindy, the way Amy's patience has worn thin lately, the way she tries to smile through something she doesn't fully understand. Lou, ever the organizer, tries to keep the family together, but even she can't help sensing that something's shifting, and not necessarily for the better. As the dinner approaches, Nathan tries to make things right. He's nervous, maybe even more than he wants to admit. This isn't just another meal. It's a test, an unspoken introduction into a family still carrying ghosts. But fate has a cruel sense of humor. On the day of the dinner, Nathan takes a fall while working with a new horse. He brushes it off, insisting he's fine, but the injury is worse than it looks. Still, he shows up, bruised, limping slightly, but smiling, determined to make a good impression. Amy appreciates the effort, even admires it, but Lindy doesn't. To her, Nathan's presence at the table feels like an intrusion, a reminder that her world is changing without her permission. The dinner starts quiet, almost painfully so. Amy tries to keep conversation flowing, Lou asks a few polite questions, and Nathan tries his best to fit in. But every time he looks at Lindy, she looks away. Every attempt he makes to connect seems to fall flat. It's in this silence that the real drama unfolds, not through arguments or raised voices, but through what's left unsaid. Lindy pushes her food around her plate. Jack's eyes move between Amy and her daughter, recognizing the distance that's grown there. And Amy, torn between wanting to protect her new relationship and wanting to protect her child, doesn't know which silence to break first. The breaking point comes quietly. Lindy excuses herself from the table, her chair scraping softly against the floor, her voice barely above a whisper. She doesn't cry, she doesn't make a scene, she just leaves. And somehow, that hurts more than any outburst could. Amy's heart sinks. She knows what this means. Her daughter didn't feel safe enough to stay. Nathan tries to ease the tension with a soft joke, but the words hang awkwardly in the air. Lou looks down. Jack clears his throat, but says nothing. The dinner continues for a few strained minutes before Amy finally excuses herself to check on Lindy. What she finds in her daughter's room is heartbreaking. A little girl trying not to cry, staring out the window into the dark, pretending she's fine. When Amy tries to explain, her words come out all wrong. She says she just wanted Lindy to see Nathan for who he is, a good man. But Lindy doesn't want good. She wants familiar. She wants safe. She wants her mother to remember that she's still healing too. And when Amy brushes off her feelings, even gently, something inside Lindy begins to close. Back at the dinner table, Nathan sits in uneasy silence. The warmth he hoped for never came. The laughter he imagined never arrived. For the first time, he realizes just how complicated Amy's world really is, and how heavy the shadows of her past still fall across every new beginning. By the time Amy returns, the air is thick with everything they didn't say. Nathan offers to leave early, claiming he's tired, but Amy knows it's more than that. The night ends quietly, without closure, and as the door closes behind him, the weight of the evening settles like dust, silent, suffocating, and impossible to ignore. That's how Heartland does it. No shouting, no chaos, just quiet heartbreak, the kind that lingers long after the credits roll. And as episode 3 continues, one thing becomes clear. This isn't just a story about moving on, it's a story about what gets left behind when you do. The morning after the dinner feels like the air itself is holding its breath. The sun rises over Heartland Ranch, but it doesn't bring light, only tension. The kitchen, usually filled with chatter and the smell of coffee, feels colder. Amy tries to act like everything's normal, but every move she makes feels deliberate, too careful, like she's afraid of breaking something invisible between her and Lindy. Lindy avoids eye contact. She's quiet, polite even, but her silence says everything. Children may not have the words for betrayal, but they feel it deeply. Amy tries to talk to her over breakfast, saying things like, "Nathan really liked meeting you," hoping it'll start a bridge. But Lindy just nods and looks down at her cereal. The wall is already built, and Amy, realizing this too late, doesn't know how to climb over it. Outside, Nathan shows up early, hoping to see Amy before the day starts. He's still sore from his fall, but that's not what's bothering him. He's worried. He saw the distance in Lindy's eyes last night, and he can't shake the feeling that he's stepped into something too fragile. He greets Amy with a smile that doesn't quite reach his eyes, and when she asks how he's feeling, he says he's fine. But he isn't. Their conversation is polite, gentle, but full of hesitation. Nathan senses Amy pulling back, and Amy feels it too. She wants to explain that her daughter's hurting, that things are complicated, that her heart is divided, but the words don't come out. Instead, there's a pause, long and uncomfortable, filled only by the sound of horses in the distance. Meanwhile, Jack watches from the barn. He's seen this before, good people trying to build something new while still standing in the ashes of the old. He walks over, slow and steady, the way he always does when the truth needs to be spoken carefully. He doesn't lecture, he just looks Nathan in the eye and asks, "What are you really looking for here?" Nathan doesn't answer right away, because he's not sure. He thought he was just falling for Amy, but now he realizes he's also walking into her history, a history that isn't his to fix. Jack doesn't tell him to stay away, but his silence says it all. Heartland has weathered too many storms to survive another half-truth. Inside, Amy tries to focus on work, but her heart isn't in it. Every moment she spends training horses, she's thinking of Lindy. Every sound of laughter from outside reminds her of what she's losing. Not Nathan, but her daughter's trust. She wants to fix it, but she doesn't know where to start. Apologies seem too small for the kind of hurt that grows in silence. Later that afternoon, Amy goes to Lindy's room. The light through the curtains paints the walls in soft gold, but the mood is anything but warm. Lindy's sitting on her bed, sketching quietly. Amy sits beside her and waits. For a long time, neither of them speaks. Then Lindy says softly, "You didn't even ask me if I was okay with him coming." The words hit Amy harder than she expects. It's not anger, it's truth, the kind that cuts because it's simple and pure. Amy tries to explain, but Lindy stops her. "You always tell me we're a team," she says, voice trembling. "But you made this decision alone." Amy's eyes fill with tears she doesn't want to show. She reaches for her daughter's hand, but Lindy pulls away, not out of defiance, but pain. In that moment, Amy realizes this isn't about Nathan at all. It's about trust, the one thing she thought they had, and now it's slipping through her fingers. Out in the fields, Nathan works in silence. The bruise on his arm has turned darker, but it's the one in his chest that really hurts. He thinks about Amy, about Lindy, about the dinner that went wrong before it even started. He wants to fix things, but every instinct tells him that the more he tries, the worse it will get. Then Jack joins him again, leaning on the fence, quiet as ever. "You've got a good heart," Jack says finally, "but this place, this family, it's not something you can just walk into." You've got to earn it, and sometimes earning it means knowing when to step back. Nathan doesn't argue. He just nods, because deep down, he knows Jack's right. He can't force himself into their story. He can only hope he's written in naturally, and right now the ink is still uncertain. That evening, Amy stands outside, watching the sunset. Lindy's laughter echoes faintly from the barn, where she's helping Lou feed the animals, laughter that doesn't include Amy. The sound both relieves and breaks her. She's glad her daughter's smiling again, but she knows she's not the reason. Nathan approaches, hesitant, unsure if he should even be there. "I think I should give you both some space," he says quietly. Amy's eyes widen, not in anger, but in realization. He's doing the one thing she didn't expect, respecting the distance. She wants to ask him to stay, to tell him they'll work it out, but the truth catches in her throat. Maybe this is what they need. As Nathan drives away, Amy stands alone in the fading light, and for the first time she feels the full weight of her choices. The calm she tried to create has turned into quiet chaos, and she knows this is only the beginning. Because at Heartland, silence isn't peace. It's warning, and the storm it hides is only getting closer. The next morning at Heartland feels deceptively peaceful. The sky is clear, the horses move quietly through the pasture, and from a distance, everything seems normal. But anyone paying attention can sense the tension beneath the calm. Amy's smile doesn't quite reach her eyes. Lindy stays close to Lou instead of her mother. And Jack, always the observer, knows the silence in this family means trouble brewing just beneath the surface. Amy tries to bury herself in work, hoping routine will smooth the rough edges of last night. She's training a young mare that reminds her of Spartan in his early days, wild, stubborn, and afraid to trust. As she works, Amy realizes she's not just training the horse, she's seeing herself reflected in its resistance. Every step forward feels like a small victory, but one wrong move and everything shatters. It's the same with Lindy. One wrong word, one missed moment, and the fragile bond between them could break beyond repair. While Amy struggles in silence, Nathan is fighting his own battle. Ever since the dinner, he's been keeping his distance, respecting Amy's need for space. But distance doesn't quiet the questions in his head. He knows he cares about Amy, maybe more than he should, yet every time he thinks about coming back, he remembers Lindy's eyes, filled with quiet hurt. He doesn't want to be another ghost haunting that house. Nathan's sister, Marlene, makes her first real appearance in this episode, and right away something feels off. She's charming, outspoken, and too comfortable asking questions that aren't hers to ask. Lou, who's always had a sharp sense for when something's not right, immediately notices the cracks in Marlene's smile. There's confidence there, but also calculation. Later that day, when Lou visits the feed supplier, she overhears a conversation she wasn't meant to hear. Marlene's name being mentioned alongside a series of unpaid bills and missing paperwork. It's small, almost unnoticeable, but it plants a seed of suspicion. Lou doesn't jump to conclusions, but she knows trouble when she sees it. And trouble linked to Nathan's family could easily become trouble for Heartland. Meanwhile, Amy finally gets a moment alone with Jack. She's been avoiding him, knowing he sees more than she wants to admit. When she sits beside him on the porch, the silence stretches until Jack finally breaks it. "You're trying too hard to keep everyone happy," he says. "That's not love, Amy. That's fear." Amy doesn't respond right away. She knows he's right. She's been walking on eggshells, with Lindy, with Nathan, even with herself. She wanted to prove she could move on, that she wasn't stuck in the past. But in trying to protect everyone, she's managed to hurt them all in different ways. Then, just when things seem to settle, the story takes a subtle turn. Marlene shows up at the ranch, uninvited. She says she's there to check on Nathan, but her timing feels too perfect. Amy greets her politely, though unease flickers behind her eyes. Lindy watches from the porch, sensing the shift in her mother's tone. Marlene compliments everything, the horses, the property, even Amy's courage to move forward. But there's something hollow in her words. When Nathan arrives and sees his sister talking with Amy, his expression tightens. He's not angry, exactly, more like uneasy, like he knows she's capable of stirring trouble without meaning to. "She's just passing through," he explains later, but Amy can tell there's more to it. The look Nathan gives Marlene isn't one of trust, it's one of warning. That evening, Lou corners Amy in the kitchen. She doesn't waste time. Did you know Nathan's sister has a record of unpaid contracts? People are talking, Amy. If she's mixed up in anything shady and she's here, it could come back on us. Amy's expression falls. She hadn't even considered that. All she wanted was peace, and now she can feel chaos creeping in through the cracks. Nathan, overhearing part of the conversation, steps in. Whatever Marlene's done, it has nothing to do with you, he says firmly. But his voice trembles, not with anger, but with guilt, because he knows there's truth in Lou's concern. His sister's past isn't clean, and her sudden appearance isn't just coincidence. That night, Amy stands by Lindy's door again, listening to the quiet breathing of her sleeping daughter. The peace she sees in that moment feels fragile, like something that could vanish at the slightest touch. She whispers an apology to the darkness, even though Lindy can't hear her. "I'm trying," she says softly. "I'm really trying." Outside, Nathan argues quietly with Marlene near his truck. The ranch lights cast long shadows across the gravel, and though their voices are low, the tension is clear. "You shouldn't have come," he says. Marlene laughs it off, saying she just wanted to help, but her eyes give away something else: desperation. As Nathan drives her away from Heartland that night, Marlene's last words hang heavy in the air. "You can't run from family, Nate. No matter how hard you try, they always find you." When Amy looks out the window and sees the taillights fade into the distance, she doesn't know whether to feel relieved or worried. Because at Heartland, departures rarely mean endings. They usually mean the storm is just beginning. And this one feels like it's heading straight for her door. By the time episode 3 reaches its midpoint, the air around Heartland feels charged, like thunder waiting to break. Everyone can sense it, but no one wants to be the first to say it aloud. Amy moves through the day like she's walking through smoke, trying to appear calm, but every step feels uncertain. The family dinner, Nathan's distance, Marlene's sudden visit, they've all left marks that won't fade easily. It starts with a phone call. Lou gets a message from a business partner in Hudson confirming her worst suspicion. Marlene isn't just careless. She's been caught in a deal gone bad. A missing payment, a forged signature, and now her name is connected to a shipment meant for Heartland's new client. If the news spreads, it could tarnish not only Nathan's reputation, but Amy's too. Lou wastes no time confronting her sister. "We can't afford another scandal," she says, voice sharp but protective. "You barely just got Heartland's reputation back on track after the last fallout. If people think you're mixed up with this woman..." Amy cuts her off, shaking her head. "I didn't know any of this, Lou." Nathan didn't either. But even as she says it, doubt creeps in. She remembers the way Nathan avoided eye contact when Marlene arrived, the quiet tension between them, the guilt he never quite managed to hide. As the pressure builds, Lindy becomes even quieter. The distance between her and Amy grows wider by the hour. When Amy tries to talk, Lindy keeps her answers short, polite but cold. It's not rebellion, it's heartbreak wrapped in silence. She doesn't know about the scandal, but she can feel something's wrong. Kids always do. And what hurts her most isn't the rumor or the lies. It's that her mother looks scared again, the same way she used to after Ty's accident. "I'm clean," he says, "but my name's still in it. I don't want that hanging over you or over this place." He pauses, eyes softening. "I think I should leave Heartland for a while. Maybe for good." The words hit Amy like a quiet storm. She wants to tell him to stay, to fight it out together, but deep down she knows he's right. His presence now only stirs more questions. Not just from outsiders, but from within her own family. Jack respects Nathan, but he doesn't trust the timing. Lou wants stability, not headlines. And Lindy? Lindy just wants her world to stop changing. Nathan looks toward the barn one last time, where Lindy stands watching from a distance. He offers a small, sincere smile, not one that asks for forgiveness, but one that quietly says thank you for letting me try. Then he turns and walks away, leaving Amy standing,